All right, everybody, it's time that we put all these trig ratios together, and we're going to do it using this awesome mnemonic device, SOHCAHTOA. Okay, so we're going to say SOHCAHTOA a lot, which is going to help you a lot. If you commit that to memory, it's going to help you choose which trig function you need to use. It means sine uses opposite and hypotenuse, specifically opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, while tangent is opposite over adjacent. So if you remember SOHCAHTOA, you write it at the top of your paper every time, you can make everything a whole lot easier on yourself. And let's see how it works in problem number one. Problem number one, I want to solve for the hypotenuse, which is AC. I want to use a given angle in this case. My given angle is angle C. So from the reference point of angle C, I can tell that 10.8 is my opposite side and X is my hypotenuse. BC here is my adjacent, which I'll label, but really I know I don't want to use it because there's no given side length here. It's not a variable that I want to solve for, so I really don't want to use it at all. So the two parts I want to use are the opposite and the hypotenuse, which leads me right to the trig function sine. So I will set this ratio up as sine of 57 degrees equals, again, like I said, opposite over hypotenuse, so O over H, 10.8 over X. I've got it set up, and now I just need to solve for X. There's one variable, I can solve it. So I multiply both sides by X because I want to get rid of the fraction here. Now I have X sine of 57 equals 10.8, which I can't type in because, again, I've got an X over here. I want to get X by itself. So I divide by sine of 57. That cancels, and I'm left typing into my calculator 10.8 divided by sine of 57, which gets me a value of 12 point. I want it rounded to the nearest thousandth. So 12.877. Make sure you're reading the directions as to what place value they want them rounded to. Check, done. Number two, here my angle is the 37-degree angle. Notice I don't have side angles labeled on here. That's fine. It's still related to the angle 37 degrees. My opposite is the X, while my hypotenuse is 10.3. Again, this is my adjacent, but there's nothing even labeled. There's no X, there's no given value, so I don't want to use that. My opposite and hypotenuse leads me again to sine. So I'm going to set up sine of 37 degrees equals opposite over hypotenuse, X over 10.3. Again, one variable in there, so I can solve. I multiply both sides by the denominator to cancel it out. And now I'm left with just 10.3 times sine of 37 equals X. And that I type right into my calculator, and I get a value of approximately 6.1987. So that's actually going to round up to 6.199. Spectacular. Let's do our last example. We'll use this color. Again, I don't have the angles labeled in this case. I just forgot to write them. So that's okay, though. It's always related to this angle, 28 degrees. My opposite's right here, but nothing's there. So I know that's not something I want to use. My adjacent is here, and my hypotenuse is here. So I want to use my adjacent and hypotenuse, which if I pull out my SOHCAHTOA, adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. Cosine of 28 degrees equals adjacent, which is 6, over hypotenuse, which is X. And that's my setup. One more time. Solve it by multiplying by the denominator on both sides. That cancels this here, and I'm left with X times cosine of 28 degrees equals 6. X is not by itself, so I want to get it by itself by dividing by cosine of 28. Cancels out over there. We'd be left with x equals that. So that's what you type in your calculator, and you get 6.795. Again, look at the rounding, make sure you're rounding correctly. And if these answers are all coming out weird, hit your mode button right here and make sure the third one down is in degrees. You want to be in degrees, not radians. Move it over to degrees if you need to. Great job. Keep up the good work.